Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Nazu Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Suicide Squad Isekai Season 1, Episode 8. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. What was supposed to be a victorious return for our characters ended up not being so. Not the warm welcome they were expecting. They were expecting big parties, celebration, feast, and they kind of got shafted. Big time. Understandably, kind of figured as much, because, like, what time the Queen was on last episode, it's like, oh yeah, she seemed, like, pretty peeved. And it's interesting when we start back with her court, who are split down the middle. Some are in support of what the Suicide Squad did, others aren't. It's like, yeah, they might have busted out of prison, but, you know, they did help us in the long run. And I felt so bad for that one dude. The dude who was actually pro-Suicide Squad ended up being the one that has to kind of be forced by the Queen to speak up and everything. So I was like, oh man, that sucks big time. And he's the one that ends up getting eaten by King Shark. So, I mean, to be fair, he was acting like chastising him for everything, because it's like, well, you didn't really do anything good. All you did was correct the issues that came about. Like, oh, you took care of the Thinker, right? He's from your world, so all you did was clean up your own mess. It's like, well, we freed the elves. Yes, you did. That's pretty dope. But who caused the problem in the first place? Someone from your world. It's like, I didn't see you bringing up any of these points any other previous time when you literally sent them off to fight before. You didn't care about that, even though that was already known component to all of this. You didn't care, but now all of a sudden you do. It's like no one in the court's really speaking up. Like, the princess has been silent. Cecil's just following orders. You know, he has to listen to the Queen. So, and the Queen's looking at this as a great opportunity, because the moment the Suicide Squad fight back is because, like, the guy slaps Harley, and then, like, everyone snaps in that moment. Like, King Shark, Peacemaker, Deadshot, and Clayface all lose it, whereas, like, Rick tries to be, like, the, like, more calm, collected one, but everyone kind of snaps the moment, like, it's like, yo, you're gonna hit Harley? Nah, we ain't playing that shit, you know? But I mean, it wouldn't matter, because, like, Harley could handle her own. It's not like she needed help, but it was just kind of like, yeah, Harley's just kind of like, right, I'm not going to go full psycho when I easily could. I'm just like, did you see what I did? I literally like, yo, I was dusting up last episode, because I don't, like, no one here can bog, but it's just kind of the principle, like, she knows what time it is, and it's like, we're outnumbered, and, like, let's not make an enemy of the entire kingdom, even though the kingdom has made an enemy of us. So, ultimately, the Queen decides, fine, the only one we'll execute is the demi-human, that being Nanaue. So they're like, right, take him away, leave him to be executed, the rest get exiled. So, and for Harley, what was so aggravating for her is the princess. It's like, you're the one that pushed us to do it. We were just content just being in our cell. We would have figured out what to do afterwards. Granted, that was them licking their wounds after getting their asses handed to them by the Thinker and Killer Croc and Enchantress. But in this particular case, it's like, you're the one that kind of revved us up. You told us to fight. It's like, if we knew it was going to be this type of bullshit, we wouldn't have fought in the first place. So, and it's like, right, you don't want to have to do what your mom tells you to do, but yet you fall in line. You kowtow to everything she says. It's like, oh, like, go back to the listening to mommy then. Once again, I think what irritates, because Harley's the only one who talked in that scene, it's because when she looks at the princess, all she sees is who she was before, Harleen Quinzel. She sees too much parallel of, like, the woman who just kind of did what others said. Like, yeah, she has a relationship with Joker, which is, like, chaotic and effed up in its own right, but in her mind, it's like, right, Joker set me free. Like, I'm not restrained by what others think of me and what others want of me. I'm able to just be me. He set me free. So, and she sees, when she looks at the princess, so restrained and so reserved and so busy following what other people's wants rather than what you want, which, once again, still kind of you're doing what Joker wants, but it's like, there's a level of, I'm kind of doing my own thing, I'm free, that the princess doesn't have, and just seeing her is just, like I said, a reminder of the past. So, what do our suiciders do with their freedom? Not even immediately, wasn't even a thought of, well, we should go back and save Nanaue. It's like, oh, we don't want to have to go up an entire kingdom. It's kind of a moot point. So what do? They go to, like, a bar and they get drunk. I'm surprised. I mean, to be fair, it's like they've mainly interacted with the kingdom itself, the knights and the queen. The general public in the kingdom, we have no idea how they feel. This is like our first time really getting to see them interact with just like regular folk for the kingdom. They're impressed by Deadshot. Even though he's drunk, he still hits the mark. We have Peacemaker getting drunk, being like, yo, don't like confuse me with some other ass clown who can't handle their liquor. It's like basically you clear your mind and you focus at like, you know, the peace of mind you'll get at the bottom of a glass. And everyone's drinking. Harley had told this whole thing about, she was talking to Rick about, does he have anyone that he loves? And for her, it's like the one person she loves is her Puddin', her Joker, where it's just kind of like having that one person. You know, for her, it's like, well, he's kind of waiting for me, like having that, because it's like, does Rick have anyone waiting for him? I love the whole, I wasn't sure where he was going initially with it, but I love Clayface doing the whole T2 reference. And they're like, oh my God. He's like, wait, you don't know? That should be more impressive. I did like one of the greatest moments in cinema, in movie history. It's like, what's a movie? It's like, oh, right. We're in an Isekai. Oh, you poor people having never experienced a movie. Well, what a movie is. But it ends up in a tussle because there is a minstrel who started singing a song, which I thought that was going to be a reveal that it was a villain or something, but I love that it's like, no, just, I guess, generally speaking, word has gotten around about the Suicide Squad. Once again, this is our first time really seeing them interact with townsfolk, because they've only, in the context of the episodes from what we've seen, they've only interacted with the like the knights and like the queen and the princess, so they haven't interacted with regular folks. But it's like, oh, they're got a reputation. It's so interesting that you are heralded as heroes here, considering every single one of you is a villain. So it's fascinating that this minstrel's literally talking about their story, about how they came in a metal box and crashed, and it's like both Harley and Deadshot were like, stop. But Clayface says, no, keep going. You didn't talk about any of my amazing exploits. Is there a next part to the song? Is there a second verse? Let him keep going. Let him cook. And that ends up in like a little bit of a brawl fight between everyone. I love that one lady who was getting shot at around, and then you just see her just kind of like tense up and pass out. That one person trying to jump out the window but gets like glued to the wall by Clayface. So I just love that shit just pops off. And I love, for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe I had to go back. Was he not wearing pants the entire time? Because for whatever reason, Peacemaker's up and about, starting shit, fighting with his bare cheeks and his dick out. Which, once again, I'm sure that's still adopting a lot of the John Cena version of the character. Once again, my understanding has been that that's kind of been I don't know how much of John Cena's and portrayal / James Gunn's writing of Peacemaker they've adopted for the character in the comics, in the more current runs of the comics. But it's like, that definitely feels like a John Cena move of just being like, yeah, just you could see him. Well, I mean, he's been like in his we've seen him butt naked in like the first episode of Peacemaker, plus in his tidy whities in both the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. And then just like everyone wakes up in the aftermath of it. I do love that when we get Rick in the morning, his face is kind of jacked up a little bit, and you see Harley almost looking like ill. It's like, oh, he must have gotten, because he tried to break up the fights, but everyone was so drunk they probably beat him up a little bit. Because last time you see him before that, it's like he gets Clayface's motor on his face, and then he's yelling at everyone to get their shit together. But considering the entire mission has practically been a fail because they've ruined any relationship they have with the kingdom, so it's like, right, let's go back, reset the timers, and potentially, well, we also need to rescue Nanaue, which, I mean, it's like he's got the magic situation binding him, but I'd almost kind of halfway expected this to kind of pull the Suicide Squad, like when they came to rescue Harley, but Harley rescued herself. I could easily see a situation of Nanaue could have gotten out of his circumstances, but he didn't for whatever reason. Either he just didn't think he could, or maybe he legitimately was so bound up by that magic that he actually couldn't get out. But yeah, they go to the gate to reset their timers, and this is where the team is finding out Rick has had the radio, because he's had it ever since they fought the dragon, but he's kept that to himself. Because everyone knows, they're like, yeah, the moment we get back, were just going to end up getting locked up. And even Harley leaves behind Arthur because it's like, right, he made a friend at the bar, and it's like, yeah, I don't want our little buddy kind of getting trapped with us, which obviously Clayface completely understands. I even love his perspective on things. It's like, well, we did everything in an isekai, it's like, right, we kind of saved the day, but then it's also like, right, we're going back. The climax of it is going to be rescuing a fellow friend or whatever, but it's still kind of sad that, like, oh, this is how everything ends in our isekai situation. But the problem is they end up talking to Waller, who accepts, yeah, this was a failure. Rick come back and was planning on killing the rest of the Suicide Squad. Was going to blow up their heads right then and there, starting with Clayface. Perfect person to start with. I don't know if she did that on purpose or not. It feels purposeful. It's like, there's plenty of people you knew for sure you would have been able to kill, so that was probably meant to be a motivating factor of, hey, if you want to survive, for her to quickly be like, all right, you got 24 hours. It feels like she was always going to put you on a time limit regardless of what Rick said. But I think it means a lot for the squad to have Rick stick up for him, because he's like, bro, you don't have to do this. But she's like, no, like, this was a failure. You need to come back. And Rick's like, no, like, I mean, for one, you already know they're disposable because your first squad, to be fair, they went full villains and stuff like that, sure. But Waller wanted them dead, and so she doesn't care. I mean, I guess Rick deluded himself in believing in, like, I guess this is his first time in this continuity getting to witness just how cavalier Waller is about just disposing of people, despite people doing what they've done, not but do what you told them to do. I mean, but the problem is the mission wasn't a full success, which isn't in their. I mean, really, it's your fault in the first place, considering like your other team went like to the other side and complicated things. But yeah, you want to rule this world. That's what the conversation was. I knew there was something Joker related with Harley. I couldn't remember what it was, but it was like, yeah, like Joker saying the whole thing of like everyone doesn't feel like themselves, that basically they want to kind of escape to another world, that they just don't feel like this is the real them. They could go out there and just kind of be a different version. Like saying like everyone, whether it was Gotham, whether it was this world, everyone feels that way to some extent. That was the whole point. I just couldn't remember the full context of that conversation she was drunkenly having with Rick. But Rick, like I said, got them their 24 hours. And he talks about, like, yeah, they're super villains. And they've been pretty lame super villains. And they're villains back home. But here, they've been a little less villainous. And he thinks it's bullshit that they've had to deal with the Queen. And also, like, Bossy McBalserson, that is Amanda Waller. So it's kind of like, right, let's stick it to him. Oh, and also Clayface is alive. Like, I figured, that's why I was like, at first I was like, well, he's not going to be dead. I mean, for one, they're not going to just kill him like that. But I'm also like, yeah, but out of anyone, he's more likely to survive that. But then it's like, everyone else is shocked. They're like, whoa, how'd you survive that? He's like, oh yeah, like, it's going to take more than just one part of my body getting destroyed. Dude, like, he's like, I can literally, and I thought it was kind of a neat explanation. He's like, I can move my brain and my heart to any part of my body at any point in time. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, who else could do that? There's someone specific, a fictional character, obviously, that I'm thinking of that I'm like, they move their body parts like that, and I just can't remember who I'm thinking of. I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't quite grasp it. But also, they're like, yeah, so you've never had to worry about the bomb situation. He still doesn't, because his head went kablooey. The bomb's already detonated, so he's good. It's only the others that have to worry about it necessarily. I mean, not unless it's still stuck inside him, because it's like supposed to be in like the base of your neck. Because I think it's interesting if you look. I mean, it's kind of a gross detail, like amongst like the mud or clay that is his head, you do see something that looks like it's supposed to be his spine. I was like, ugh. I don't know. It looked very spine-esque. It was brown because of the mud and stuff, but like I don't know if that was actually his spine or did just the mud manifest like that when it was splattered. But I'd assume like, yeah, he's good from the bomb. He never has to worry about it. Everyone else does. But for him, it's like, oh yeah, like the reason why he's like, yeah, because every story needs its protagonist, and he kind of raises his eyebrows. So the plan is now they've got 24 hours to kind of I don't even know if they're trying to rescue Nanaue anymore. Well, because the whole point was like, right, we're going to take down the bad guys, and then prove ourselves and reestablish a good relationship with the kingdom. So Waller would have no choice but to say like our mission to success and make sure that you guys don't die. But it's like cool. Instead of the 72 hours that they kind of have now that they got reset, they're down to 1 day now. And it's like, well, the kingdom's the place we're going is like pretty far in that direction. So we got to move. So I don't know if they're still rescuing the Nanaue or it's just kind of like, no, we got to take President there first. But I think we stop along the way to try and save Nanaue too. But once again, he might end up getting rescued by the princess again type of situation, or maybe he'll just bust out on his own. We'll have to wait to see. But anyway, really quickly about the Clayface thing, I feel like once again, I wouldn't know how to like perma like kill or defeat Clayface. Maybe like nitroglycerin seems like it'd be a pretty good bet. I feel like because I've never watched anything where like he's been dealt with in that manner. I'm sure you can freeze him to like slow him down and stuff, but I'm sure like if you did like a nitroglycerin type of situation, you probably could like severely freeze him and then break him. And obviously he has like, if his brain or heart gets destroyed, he dies. So, but that might just be this continuity fault of follow that, like maybe other versions of the character does. I mean, I'm sure he's been killed in the comics at some point in time. Maybe been multiple times over the course of the comics at some point, but I'm sure there is a means of doing it, you know? But like I said, I do feel like Waller did it on purpose. Like, you could have killed your more human-based people. Peacemaker is one thing because he's the most loyal, and I don't know if his circumstances with Waller are the same as they are in the Suicide Squad, but it's like you could easily go in the Harley route or the Deadshot route, but you specifically chose Clayface. But either way, the princess goes to try and see her mother, but then when she visits her mother, she sees a reflection of someone else. So either that's someone in disguise, but more likely, that's a pretty good chance, but I think more likely is she's possessed. I knew something was off with her. I just didn't think it was like a possession thing. I was like, maybe she's being controlled, maybe, or maybe it's a situation of that's just who she is and she's got her own machinations. I don't know if that's like the main bad guy behind Katana and them. Cause we never really got a good look at him, but that might be the same person, and maybe they're just like disguised as a queen because a real queen's somewhere else, like stashed away, or maybe she just possessed her body. I don't know. But the princess saw this. I thought it was interesting because she was like, "Oh, those damn humans getting in my way." And part of me wondered, was like, "What is that actually? Why you chose Nanaue? Because you're not actually going to execute him. You're going to keep him because he's like in your eyes, he's a demi-human." So he's not human, so you're more in line with keeping him on. I don't know if that's what it is, but even being demi-human, it's like you're humanoid enough that I'm like human enough in some capacity, even though you're like a humanoid shark. Like you're still like, I'm going to kill you because you're with that squad. But like you could have chose anyone, but you chose Nanaue specifically to be like, I'll execute him and let all of you humans go. So I'm like, I don't know if like Nanaue's not actually captured and he's actually been chosen to kind of work with her. We'll have to wait to see. There's only 2 episodes left, so I'm curious to see where the next episode takes us and how this sets up. Like I said, what I assume is the series finale, because it seems like this is a one and done. Maybe it depends on like how well received it is, whether or not it gets a second season or not. We'll see. But also the nature of the story feels like a one and done, so we'll see what the next episode has in store for us and kind of what that ultimately sets up for the potential finale. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.